Are you someone who understands English perfectly but struggles to speak fluently? Do you listen to conversations, watch movies, read books, and understand everything with ease, but when it's time to speak, the words just don't come out? If this sounds like you, trust me, you are not alone. This is one of the most common problems English learners face, and I know exactly how frustrating it can be. Maybe you've spent years studying English in school. You've memorized grammar rules, learned hundreds of words, and even scored well on English exams. You can read and write without any issues. But when you try to speak, your mind goes blank. You know the words, but they don't come out naturally. You hesitate, search for the right words, and by the time you think of what to say, the conversation has already moved on. I know exactly how that feels. I've been there myself. There was a time when I could understand English conversations perfectly, but when I tried to speak, I struggled. I would sit in a group, listening to people talk, and in my head, I knew what I wanted to say. But as soon as I opened my mouth, everything disappeared. I started doubting myself, wondering if my sentence was correct, if my pronunciation was good, or if I would sound stupid. This fear of speaking is something so many learners experience. You might be afraid of making mistakes. You might worry that people will judge you. Or maybe you feel embarrassed because you think your accent isn't perfect. But here's the truth. Understanding English and speaking English are two different skills. Think about a baby learning a language. Babies listen for months before they ever say their first words. They don't start speaking in perfect sentences right away. They begin with simple words.
Do you want to master English? Our top-rated course covers grammar, speaking, pronunciation, and writing. Learn fast and speak with confidence. Link in the description.
Then short phrases, and over time, they improve. Speaking is a skill that develops with practice, just like any other skill. One of the biggest reasons for this struggle is that most English learners focus on passive learning, reading and listening, but they don't practice speaking enough. You might spend hours reading English books, watching English videos, and listening to English podcasts, but if you don't actively use what you've learned, it won't translate into speaking skills. Imagine someone who wants to become a great swimmer. They read books about swimming, watch videos of professional swimmers, and understand every technique. But if they never jump into the water, will they ever learn to swim? No, the same applies to English speaking. You have to speak to become fluent. Many learners hesitate to speak because they are afraid of saying something wrong. But let me tell you something. Even native English speakers make mistakes. The difference is, they don't let those mistakes stop them from speaking. The more mistakes you make, the more you learn. Every mistake brings you one step closer to fluency. Another common problem is that many learners think in their native language first and then try to translate into English. This slows down your speaking ability and makes conversations feel unnatural. Fluent speakers think in English. The more you immerse yourself in English, the easier it becomes to think and speak naturally. Your brain may know English, but your mouth and tongue are not used to producing English sounds fluently. Speaking requires muscle memory, just like playing an instrument or riding a bike. If you don't use the muscles in your mouth regularly for English, they won't move smoothly when you try to speak. Many people understand English but feel too shy or insecure to speak. You may be afraid of people laughing at you, or you may think that your English is not good enough. But confidence comes from action. You don't become confident and then start speaking. You start speaking, and then you become confident. I know how frustrating it feels to understand English but not be able to speak. I felt the same way for a long time. But one day, I decided I couldn't keep waiting for fluency to magically happen. I had to take action. At first, I had no one to talk to, so I practiced alone. I spoke to myself in English while doing everyday tasks. When I woke up, I described my morning routine. I am brushing my teeth. I am making breakfast. It felt strange at first, but over time, it became natural. I started listening to native English speakers and repeating everything they said, mimicking their pronunciation and rhythm. This helped me improve my fluency and sound more natural. Instead of fearing mistakes, I started seeing them as lessons. Every mistake taught me something new. I realized that making mistakes was not a sign of failure, but a sign of progress. I trained my brain to think directly in English. Instead of translating, I started forming simple thoughts in English throughout the day. At first, it was difficult, but soon it became easier and faster. I joined online English speaking groups and language exchange programs. Talking to real people forced me to use English in real conversations. If you want to become fluent in English, you have to speak first and fear later. Fluency does not come from waiting until you feel ready. It comes from starting before you feel ready. The first time you speak, it might feel uncomfortable. The second time, it will still be difficult. But after 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, you will start feeling more comfortable. And one day, without even realizing it, you will be speaking fluently and confidently. Remember, fluency is not about speaking perfectly. It's about being able to communicate your ideas clearly. It's about expressing yourself without fear. So, don't let fear stop you. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start speaking today, even if it's just a few sentences. Even if it's just to yourself, every small effort counts. One day, you'll look back and realize you've become the confident, fluent English speaker you always wanted to be. If this story inspired you, it's time to take action. Here's what I challenge you to do today. Speak for 2 minutes in English about anything, even if you're alone. Just practice. Leave a comment below and tell us what part of speaking English is the hardest for you. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video that helps you on your English learning journey.